So hello, everyone, and welcome to Lunch Break with GABC. I'm your host, Ashley Mateos, coming to you live from the Carl-Schurz-Haus. For those of you who don't know, the Carl-Schurz-Haus is the German-American Institute in Freiburg, Germany. We offer a diverse cultural program, English language courses for all ages, and we also have a vibrant all-English library. We're a nonprofit institute supported in part by our members. The main goal of the Carl-Schurz-Haus is to facilitate transatlantic discourse across all areas, ranging from literature to politics to business, which is what brings us here today. In addition to coordinating the English language courses for adults at the Carl-Schurz-Haus and in companies, I am also head of our German-American business community, or GABC. We provide events centered around transatlantic business relations, professional development, and networking. I'd like to take this time to thank you for choosing to spend your lunch break with us. Or for anyone tuning in from the US, good morning to you, have a cup of coffee. Here with me today is Jorrell Rush-Kittle from BrAuerhahn and Dr. Sebastjan Varljen and Dr. Stefan Scholz of Dentprevent and Dentesthetics, one of our GABC company members. Also with us today is Annabelle, who you will see in the chat. She's one of our interns here at the Carl-Schurz-Haus, and she's going to drop in some useful links into the chat for those participating via Zoom. For anyone watching via YouTube, we will upload these links to the recording later. We're going to first hear from Jorrell about how he got started and recently brewed his first big batch, a California common called Democratic Brew, which we cheersed with our 70th anniversary last fall. And then we're going to chat with Sebastjan and Stefan about how their business concept developed, their course offerings, and the influence of testimonials have on their success. So please feel free to post any questions in the chat for Jorrell, Sebastjan, Stefan, or myself, and we will do our best to answer them. So let's start with Jorrell. Jorrell Rush-Kittle has his Master's of Science in Immunology and is currently conducting research at the Uni Clinic in Freiburg. He also has experience in medicine and teaching English. However, today he is here to talk to us about BrAuerhahn and how he got started brewing. He says he's not a professional brewer as of yet. However, he has gone from homebrew experimentation in 2016 to producing his first big batch in 2022. And many have tasted his success, myself included. It's delicious. So with that, I will say, take it away, Jorrell.
Thank you, Ashley. Can you see this? So hello, everyone. Welcome to my presentation, A Hobby and a Dream. This is about my journey of bringing beer to the beer nation with my brand BrAuerhahn. And so I'll give you some important milestones. So yes, I did start homebrewing in 2016, but it really got serious in 2017 when I started an internship at the Brauerei Rock in Lenzkirch. After that internship, I immediately brought my first real homebrew equipment. So it went from using a stovetop pan to real equipment, and I started brewing very avidly in 2018, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. During that time, I was able to build some great relationships with local people, whether they be wineries or brewers or also people at the local Getränkemärkte. And in 2020, I actually went to the Oberlindenhock, and there I was inspired by a winemaker, so a Winzer, to actually do this thing professionally. And I went back to the Lenzkirch brewery and told him my ideas. He gave his thumbs up. And then I purchased my first wine barrels from the Kaiserstuhl and started brewing my first beers commercially in early 2021. So they were first available. So the beers that I produced in Lenzkirch, and they met, let's say the people really enjoyed them. And so I had a lot of fanfare in the beginning. The beers would sell out within 2 or 3 weeks. And in 2022, the Carl-Schurz-Haus asked me to brew my first large commercial batch. And so that was a big moment also. And as Ashley mentioned before, that's when I first brewed. There's 2,500 liters in the Bräuninger Löwenbrauerei. Let me get rid of this. In the Bräuninger Löwenbrauerei. And I'll mention more about that later. And so then the first question I usually get is, you're in Germany, what are you doing brewing beer here? There's enough beer, we don't need another brewery. And my first realization was that I identified a marked niche in Germany. So if you look at this cartoon on the right, you can see almost all the beer styles available in the world. And in red, I've highlighted the beer styles that you typically get in Germany for both historical and cultural reasons. So you can see that the modern beerscape in Germany is, or it leaves room for experimentation, leaves room for innovation. But there are some hurdles with that, of course. So if you look at the small square at the very bottom, you can see German Pilsner. And Pilsner represents about 50% of all beer drunk in Germany. And I'd say another 40% is represented in that square that I circled there, with non-alcoholic beers making up the rest of the percent. And in Germany, only 1.2% of beer consumption is actually craft beer. So it seems like it's a big industry here, but it's actually very limited. And so there are some reasons why, quote unquote, craft beer is very difficult to brew in Germany. And that has to do with the professional brewing equipment in Germany. It's actually not suitable to brewing many of these beer styles, not because it's less advanced or whatever, but it's really focused on these German bottom fermented beer styles. There are certain technical hurdles, like you can't heat the product, which makes it very difficult to brew some of the beer styles I have. And so that's one reason that many brewers are very limited here. And also a big hurdle is the so-called Reinheitsgebot, which actually is called the Biersteuergesetz today. The Reinheitsgebot limits, it's actually much more limiting than just those 4 ingredients. It's a huge bureaucratic hurdle. And so, for example, a lot of the beer styles like a stout, for example, Guinness, you actually cannot produce in Germany because it uses raw barley and not malted barley. And the Reinheitsgebot has also, of course, shaped the tastes of the German beer consumer. And so many of these beer styles are actually not suitable for mass consumption. So many breweries don't want to touch them. You know, why experiment with an IPA when it's going to be really hard to sell, and I can brew this Pils and it can be sold easily. So the solution I had for this problem is to only produce in small batches and to produce exclusively with local partners. And these local partners help me both with the marketing and distribution of the product. And so basically, if I brew it, the people come. I don't have to do much. I don't have to do much self-marketing myself, which is the great benefit to this small batch production. And so what makes BrAuerhahn unique? You know, why do people want to work with me? So I've worked with wineries, I've worked with people from Kaiserstuhl, I've worked with the Schwarzwald. I've had people come from Switzerland, France, Netherlands to come get my beers. So why? What are my unique selling points? So I focus on historical beer recipes, and I exclusively use local and or organic ingredients where possible. I gave 2 examples here of 2 beers that I produced. One was called Henrichstutzen. You know, any fans of Winnetou will recognize that name. And that is a Gose beer that I produced with locally smoked salt and Tannenhonig, so fir honey, that I got from a local honey producer here in the Black Forest. And that beer sold out within about a week. So that was a very popular beer. And another example of one of my beers is what we called Wild Card. I did this in combination with a winery in the Kaiserstuhl, in which I purchased grapes. I allowed them to spontaneously ferment, and I used the yeast within those spontaneously fermenting grapes to then ferment my beer. That's another highly successful beer that's actually available right now. So definitely go out to the Bierhandlung or the Craft Beer Lodge and get a bottle of that. And another unique selling point I have that I need to actually push more is that I use a lot of energy and water saving techniques. So these historical beer styles don't require the cooling, and they don't require the filtration that many modern styles need in order to taste good, for example, Pils. And I also only brew according to season. So if my yeast requires ambient temperatures of 15 degrees, then it has to be, for example, in the early spring. And a lot of my beers can only be produced in the summer, for example. And I also have a line of beers that can only be produced in the winter. And so I'm one of the first people to do this, but I don't want to be the last. So hopefully somebody reading this can either inspire somebody they know, or they can take these tips that I have to start their own BrAuerhahn experiment. And so one of the first tips I have is home brewing in Germany is actually very free. All you have to do is register with the Zoll, and you can produce per year 200 liters at home. But this is only for home consumption. And there are no rules about what you can put in it. There's no Reinheitsgebot or anything. You can be pretty free, and there's a large home brewing community here in Freiburg. Commercially, it's actually rather simple. You just have to register a business at the town hall, so Gewerbe anmelden. And from there, you have two options. One is the easy option, one is the almost impossible option. So the almost impossible option is self-production. Self-production is, depending on where you live in Germany, depending on it's either regulated at state level, regulated at city level, or for example, in Berlin, it's regulated at the borough level. So if you brew in Wedding, it's different from brewing in Mitte, for example. And there, I can only give you a tip that you have to contact the local either Regierungspräsidium or Landratsamt to figure out who's in charge of how you can produce your own beer yourself. And the easier option is what's called in German the Kuckucksbrauer. And the Kuckucksbrauer basically means you brew at an already established brewery. And so that's what I basically do in Lenzkirch. I do a mixture, actually. As I tell Achim, or I tell the people in the Boinerer Brauerei what I want to brew, and we produce it together using their equipment. And they handle all the bureaucratic hurdles and other things about that. And what you can see in the background here, this actually nice system, is my self-production that I do in Lenzkirch, and that is with a wood-fired system, and it's very old-fashioned, and I love it. You start up in the morning chopping wood, and you use steam to heat it up, and then that's the way I can kind of go in between Kuckucksbrauer and self-production. And if you want to produce, you have to be very aware of the Biersteuergesetz, which is colloquially known as the Reinheitsgebot. And the Biersteuergesetz governs what ingredients you put into your beer. So those 4 typical ingredients from the Reinheitsgebot. And it also governs, you don't just get taxed on the profit you make from the beer, you're also taxed on the beer itself. And that tax depends on how strong the beer is. And so that's why if you look at a lot of German beers, they say 4.9% alcohol. Yeah, why always 4.9? Has a lot to do with the taxes. Once you reach a certain strength, then you have to pay more taxes on the beer. So a lot of beer strength is governed by what the people have to pay in the Biersteuer. So what are my next steps? What you see in the picture here is a label. So that's Democratic Brew. That's the California Common that I produced with the Carl-Schurz-Haus, using local ingredients, using historical recipes. It's really a great beer. Right now it's for sale at the Bierhandlung in the Craft Beer Lodge. I'm working on getting it at Stadelbauer and Edeka. I implore all of you to go out and try it. Some of the other next steps is I'm looking for a production that's a bit closer to Freiburg, and driving out into the Black Forest is a bit difficult. So if anyone here knows anybody who has a place that I can produce or store my beer, here are some ways you can reach me. So my email, mail@brauerhahn.de. And also on my website, I have a contact form. And on my website, I have a complete description of my methods. I'm 100% transparent with my sourcing and with my recipes. And so there you can get a little insight as to what I do. And if you really want to know, hey, when is Jorrell's beer available? Because it's normally sold out in 2 weeks. You can check me out on Instagram at BrAuerhahn Bier. And last but not least, I'd like to mention the local partners that I work with, particularly the Bierhandlung, Craft Beer Lodge, Stadelbauer, and Edeka. These are people who are really interested in bringing you a quality product, and they really help me with the distribution of my product. I'd like to thank everybody for listening to my product, and I'm open for questions, both now and via email or via my website. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Jorrell. I did have a quick question just from the cultural side of things, because I know personally that with craft beers, a lot of times they don't quite hit the German palate. Have you noticed that yourself?
Yes. So the German palate, almost the first thing that people say when they drink a beer is nicht zu süß. And so süß really here is not a flavor that people really appreciate. It's not a bad thing. So I find often when I interpret a beer style, for example, the California Common, the American version is a lot sweeter than the version that I produced, because I wanted to make sure that it was proper for the German beer market. And so, yeah, the tastes in Germany are very particular, and it's very difficult to hit it with the German beer consumer.
Okay.
But Zeus is a problem here.
It's a hurdle, yeah. Well, I encourage everyone to go out and try some of this Democratic Brew or some of the other small batches that Jorrell's coming out with. Thanks for sharing your contact information, and thanks for the presentation. I think now we will switch gears. I'm going to spotlight our friends here, and I'll spotlight myself as well. So now I would like to formally introduce Dr. Sebastjan Varljen and Dr. Stefan Scholz, co-founders of dentprevent and dentesthetics. Sebastjan specializes in functional and aesthetic reconstruction, as well as the company's overall business strategy. And Stefan is a prosthodontist and implantologist who focuses on teaching and networking. Stefan and Sebastjan have been working together since 2010. Is that correct? Yeah. And they're both very passionate dental specialists, which is evident through their work at dentprevent and dentesthetics, where they truly understand the needs of patients, dentists, and labs. Thank you both for joining us today. And I think before we get into the interview, you wanted to show a quick little video?
Yeah, I would love to start with a quick intro. Well, thanks, Ashley, for having us. Hello, everyone. And thanks to also Carl-Schurz-Haus and the lovely journey we already had when it came to taste. And now we'll quickly expose ourselves with both the dental practice and the digital laboratory that we both own and run here right in the heart of Freiburg. So we'll share the screen and we'll take you through a little flight into our premises.
Sehr präzises Ergebnis in einer sehr schnellen und sehr angenehmen Behandlung zu erzielen. Beim ersten Scantermin wird jeder einzelne Zahn mit der Kamera erfasst und sofort ein dreidimensionales Abbild erstellt. Das Ganze in Farbe und bis ins...
There's a little audio overlap, don't get confused, everyone. So Freiburg, as we all know, beautiful city, beautiful people, and yeah, lots of innovation going on here. dentprevent is the dental practice that we run, and we'll take you through a little walk here when we enter up on level 12, where we've got the beautiful views you've just witnessed on the screen. And we're a specialty trained practice, so we are 5 specialists in the field of dentistry. And where we're residing right now is the laboratory, the digital part called dentesthetics. So we strongly interact and collaborate, and it's an entirely digital laboratory. So our staff here, who would usually have powder on the hands and gypsum and everything, would be dusty and dirty. You will notice it's a very clean environment, and this is from our photographer and videographer, Sven, who's taking all the beautiful images and videos for interaction and communication with our patients, for us, for treatment planning, and it's an integral part of what we're doing now. So it's entirely different to what we used to do being a dentist. This is part of the production side here, printers to design models, to print simulations for our patients. Sebastjan is here already. This is where we're sitting right now, the academy part. So we also love to share our knowledge and interact with people that is being dentists from all over Germany, Europe actually, and also dental technicians, dental assistants. So it's the whole lot. We like to not only share everything about the dental profession, the dental lab, but also the business side of things. So it's the overall thing coming together here. We'll take you through a quick run through the dental practice. So that's when we enter here. Sorry, guys, that's probably the overlap from the screen. So level 12 is where we've got our treatment rooms from the dental community. So this is our regular standard room. You notice intraoral scanners. We are also focusing on 4D motion. So that's basically how the jaw of the patient moves in relation to the teeth, which is very important for us. We're not only focusing on teeth, but on the human being entirely. So this is reception, dental areas on your right. This is where we discuss and interact with our patients in regards to the treatment plans. And our oral hygienists are on the left-hand side. So we are facing there towards France and also to the Black Forest. It's very beautiful, and we like to create an atmosphere that is so much different from being in a dental space or a dental practice, but we'd rather give a good experience, look after our patients, and give them an overall well-being and a good experience when being here, because we're not only looking for the quick fix. We're not doing drill and fill. I got pain here, can you help me out? But we are really looking into the long run. We really very meticulously look at the situation where any problems may arise from, and offer a long-term view and treatment options. So that will minimize interventions over time and really raises quality of life to an entirely different level. So dentprevent, as the name already suggests, is a preventive concept where we sustain all hard and soft tissues in the oral cavity to really maximize long-lasting well-being. I think that's the cool part here. We have a systemic approach. That means that we focus on both function and biology. So there is a connection of the mouth and the overall body, and that's very important to us with focus on Sebastian's side. Would you like to add a little?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Of your field?
Thank you very much. Yeah, so comprehensive dentistry is what we call, you can also say integrative or integration of other specialists around it. You cannot be excellent in all parts of dentistry and medicine, so it's becoming more and more common to be specialized in a field of expertise. And then if these specialists are working together comprehensively and using best technology, and also an artistic part that makes teeth beautiful and shiny and really perfectly adapted to the patient's beautiful face, then this becomes a whole, a new whole. Let's say a new whole integration of every aspect that we can add in terms of long-term beauty, stability, and long-term health. We call it quality for life. So we are dentists, but we are, of course, we are working with teeth. We don't produce teeth or crowns. We produce joy and security and health for a very long time. In the best case, if the patient cares, and we also care, as we do, it will stay for the rest of the life. And we have a lot of clinical experience. So we have more than 20 years, 25 years together, 50 years, and with all the other specialists, I think we come up to 150 years of expertise that working together on one case. And we really love technology and innovation that helps us building up trust to our patients. Imagine you have a patient that comes to an old clinic with old equipment. They wouldn't really, maybe it could be difficult to grow trust in a good outcome for this treatment. And then patients come to us because they know that we are always cutting edge. We always have the best and latest equipment available, and we really master using it. And we are also on a spearhead of dental innovation. We have developed a big passion for 3D and 4D, that means motion dentistry. And we are here in Freiburg, we produce so many 4D measurements of jaw motions that there is no other clinical center in the world that produces more measurements in per time. And this gives us a lot of confidence that we know what we do and we can produce beautiful results. Yeah, and by all these technical and innovation stuff and treatment, at the end, it is what we really love is building up a meaningful relationship to our patients. We don't want to say hi and then bye. We want to build up a relationship that lasts for a lifetime, because this helps us to give the patients beautiful, healthy teeth for the rest of the life of its life.
Right. And if I may, I feel like this is also quite evident. I think Pia posted in the chat too, this hashtag values. It seems to be quite evident throughout your website and also throughout all these beautiful YouTube testimonials that you have as well. Yeah. And I encourage everyone to check out the dentprevent and dentesthetics YouTube page as well to see some of these, because it's quite remarkable the stories that you can bring, because you're right, it's not just about the teeth, it's about the joy that it brings too, and that connection that you have there. And I applaud your technique and your tactic, and as such, it seems to be quite beautifully done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, it's for the patient's benefit. It's technology helps us to predict treatment outcomes for us. That is internally when we discuss a certain situation and a most predictable outcome. But it also engages the patient so much more, because we can visualize the end result even at the very point before commencing treatment. And that has really changed everything, the way we interact, the way we treat evenly, because we can always control every step in between. We can onboard the patient, we can discuss pros and cons depending on the path we choose for treatment. And that's really changed everything that we've done in the last 2 decades. And that's such a joy. And it is different way of going to work, because when you start, you know the end result already, and it's just putting the pieces together in the digital era that we really love doing. And innovation is really in our DNA, and we like to bring that forward for the patient's benefit.
Well, great. Thank you very much. I feel like you've been able to encapsulate all of my questions that I had for you in your lovely presentation. But if anybody would like to learn more about dentprevent and dentesthetics, I encourage you to visit their website, connect on LinkedIn. Also, again, check out their YouTube page for these beautiful videos, and find out more for yourselves then. You can also see other GABC member updates on the GABC LinkedIn Showcase page. And on that note, I would also like to bring up the subject of membership. If you would like us, and if you'd like to support us in what we do here at the German American Institute, I encourage you to like, share, donate, and or become a member with us. Our institute here relies on the support of its members. So if you're not a member yet and you're interested in becoming one, please visit our website or send me an email. Some upcoming events that may be of interest to you would be, let's see, tomorrow night we have the makeup appointment for our Transatlantic Tuesday talk with Susan Glaser on Trump in the White House. The stream starts at 7 o'clock. The Carl-Schurz-Haus cultural programming calendar for February features a variety of events centered around Black history, including a fun pub quiz on Black culture, which you can check out on the Carl-Schurz-Haus website for more information. And the next GABC event will be our annual International Women's Day Business Networking. It's scheduled for March 15th at 6:30. You can email me to reserve your spot already. For anyone looking to improve their English skills, we also offer business English courses, both online and in person. If you miss an event, be sure to check out our YouTube page for recordings. And to stay informed, you can follow us on LinkedIn or sign up for our newsletter. I would like to once again thank my guest here today. Thank you, Jorrell. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Sebastjan, for joining me. It has been highly informative, and we did it in less than 30 minutes. Thanks to all of our viewers and listeners for learning while you lunch. And the next lunch break will be May 3rd, so save the date. I hope to see you again, either online or in person. Yeah, and enjoy the rest of your lunch break, everyone.
Thank you.
See you there.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.